everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe After Hours podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for the animation industry.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and this is a podcast about all things art, business, and whatever we feel like.
Now today we're going to talk about how to live with censorship in America, according to us, Hollywood professionals.
Before that, you're going to have a great week.
Fantastic week. Better than last week.
Much better than last week.
Because you're here with us.
Make sure to touch our bells and buttons.
Over there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We are now under social media censorship, if you guys didn't already know, because of events that I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about.
Probably shouldn't talk about, just to be safe.
Because of...
people are disappearing.
The censorship, like Jack Ma. And before we even start talking about the censorship, I disavow violence.
Yes.
And all things bad.
All things bad.
Bad thinking.
We only want you to make stuff and make love.
Yes.
Yes? Yes.
Okay. So, yes, we are now under social media censorship, and we thought what better to tell you how to live under social media censorship than Hollywood professionals.
Hollywood professionals have to hold their tongue and placate people all the time. Is that an exaggeration?
It's kind of our job. So we have lots of experience living in this weird censorship world. I think that the company that is taking the most fire for all this social media banning is Twitter and Facebook, but mostly Twitter. They were kind of the biggest company to do it in terms of how our president likes to use social media platforms. Also, I'm not sure if I believe the reasoning why we are now under a whole lot of censorship, because I, for one, think this was always bound to happen. And if anything, I think it was inevitable. And it's kind of just a corporation taking advantage of a situation, kind of like our studios taking advantage of COVID to, screw the industry artists. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, yes.
So after all the censorship stuff, bannings that happened, there was a whole lot of aftermath. Reactions from Hollywood. Parler got banned. Things like that. And
how many followers did you have on Parler?
I had 200 followers on Parler. And I know what you're thinking right now. No, I am not alt-right. I am an opportunist.
You are a capitalist pig.
Yes. I am basically Napoleon from Animal Farm. And all the people I worked with at DreamWorks are probably laughing right now because they're like, yes. They openly made fun of me for it.
But who paid off all their student loans?
I did.
So who's laughing now?
And I remember Gary Vee saying oh, you are rarely so lucky to be an early adopter of any social media platform. And I remember when I first heard of Parler, I was like, I don't care. I think it kind of sucks that Twitter is kind of its own thing and there's no real competitors to it. So I heard of Parler and I was like, I'm going to be an early adopter. If this platform blows up, I'm going to have so many followers. It's just another platform to post my art, which is basically what I did. And there
was a good handful of artists in there.
Yeah. Also opportunists who are like, I just want to post my art, guys. And I posted my art there, and lo and behold, no one cares because I'm an artist, and no one cares about artists. It's kind of just a platform for politics at the end of the day.
Yeah, Parler is on life support, but if it ever gets resuscitated, maybe brand in a way that's not just overtly 100% about politics. That would be helpful.
That's what I kind of wanted. I don't see any social media platform.
Their Explorer page was just
just
wall-to-wall
politics.
politics.
Yeah, and I
yeah.
was like, how do I hashtag my art?
Lowly artists trying to push art into a crowd.
Here's my like dumb YouTube videos about my podcast and my art and stuff like that. I know you guys don't care because you're yelling at each other or whatever, but like, let's lighten the mood with some art. And no one, everyone's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And also, they're like trying to disappear Trump from movies. Apparently,
apparently they're trying to erase Trump from Home Alone 2. I think is the one where Macaulay Culkin's stuck in New York and sees Trump in the lobby or something like that. I think. And I was thinking, what are they going to do next? Erase Trump from Little Rascals? Universal? Oh no! I incepted the idea. Now, if it ends up in the headlines that Trump is erased from Little Rascals, you know who's the fucker to blame? Me. But really, this is a ridiculous thing. We shouldn't even be talking about this. This is so ridiculous.
Is no art sacred?
Nothing is sacred. Because we have the technology to erase human beings from the existence of a movie, I don't know. I don't think we should just use it willy-nilly. You know?
I'm just sad that films are just, because of politics or for whatever silly reason, they're like, nope. We don't like that person. Bye-bye. Just disappear you from history, from ever existing.
Man, it's like they watched that Black Mirror episode with John Hamm and went like, that is exactly what we need. That is exactly what we need. We just need to just evaporate their online existence.
I feel like if they could, they would do that for like all old paintings, because it's all of like old people, old white dudes. They just disappear them from the painting. It's just like a landscape painting now. A painting of a room.
Hudson River School. Yeah. Just like landscape.
Yeah. Like imagine they just did that to paintings. They just, bye-bye.
Oh, like the Jesus painting.
Oh yeah. Bye-bye.
Oh man.
And Hollywood types now feel like, before they were like secretly hating all the conservatives. Now they're just openly telling you how much they hate you.
Yeah, Hollywood people, it seems as though we're just sliding into people's DMs, telling you how to think, and shame on you.
Some people were trying to do the thing that you're supposed to do and be like, hey, let's simmer down a little bit. Let's unite. Let's be kind. Let's not fight. For whatever reason, like maybe for personal gain, who knows? But people were like, "Hey, let's stop. It's getting a little crazy."
So who is sharing this sentiment?
He responded to the zeitgeist.
Oh, so he just like thought he just like yelled into the void.
Yeah, which is what you do on Twitter.
I see. Yes. So he's Seth Rogen. Oh, I see. Seth Rogen, irritated, reads all these headlines about we should unite.
Yes.
And what did he say?
He goes, "Who the fuck would want to unite with fascists?"
he just felt like he needed to scream that into the void. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, just no. Okay, I guess. And then
in Twitter, you're just allowed.
I don't really have a problem with his statement. It's just random, and like you clearly know it's just a weird statement. To no one asked. No one asked you. But okay, I guess.
But that's Twitter.
Yeah.
You know?
And then Count Dankula. If you don't know who Count Dankula is...
Shit poster extraordinaire.
Yes.
Yes.
And famous for a certain thing that I don't even... Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about.
Or else we'll be disappeared. Like Jack Ma.
Yes. He responds with, "No one. Good thing that's not what is being asked, but you knew that." You'd think Seth Rogen, being a Hollywood celebrity, probably gets a lot of mentions, probably gets tweeted at a lot, wouldn't never go and like respond, especially wouldn't go to their, like, slide into their DMs Because, like, I don't think Seth Rogen knew who this was at all at first.
That's a lame move, bro.
Yeah.
Who would do that? So Seth Rogen DMs Count Dankula, Mastership poster.
Because he just really, really needed to respond for some reason. And he goes, "Are you a Jewish person?" Because if you know anything about what Count Dankula is famous for, it's relevant. But also, like...
What does that mean?
What does that... Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means it's okay to do what Count Dankula did.
If you're Jewish,
I guess.
Jewish.
And Count Dankula goes, "No, I am not. Have you seen the video?" And then Seth Rogen goes, "Then you're either someone who is not funny, has astoundingly bad judgment, or most likely both. I have seen the video." And then he continues, "You're not funny." And then parentheses, "I work in the Sphere."
Oh, man.
And I was like, wait, if you are famous and you are a celebrity, do you really need to explain to someone?
I know. I would know. I know funny, because I'm Seth Rogen.
That's such a weird thing. I've never heard a famous person go, "I'm a celebrity, you know. I work in Hollywood, you know."
Gross.
That's weird.
Gross. So you see what we're saying? You see what we're telling you, audience? Hollywood people, man. So full of themselves. They come to this town thinking they own the fucking place.
My God. And then he goes, "And if this breaks your country's laws in regards to hate crimes, you're an even bigger idiot."
Okay, Seth Rogen.
Okay, Dad. And then Count Dankula responds, did a US tour, plus managed to hit 800k subscribers on YouTube. Lots of people seem to find me funny. Maybe I could be on your level one day by making all my jokes, dude, weed, LMAO. And I'm like, man, like, this is a little bit like a comedian roast off right now. I'm like...
It reminds me of the time... Oh, what was it? I think Jake Paul bitched at Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't end well.
Yeah.
So, Dankula, bringing the stank.
Yeah.
And then Seth Rogen, come on. Come on, Seth Rogen. You do the
play.
comedy, right? Let's play. Let's fucking dance.
And he just goes, "Good one. There's that humor." And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. He just let...
Seth Rogen gets bitch.
He just gave up. I thought you were a comedian. Dude.
Say something witty, at least.
Yeah. Shouldn't you got your career started with stand-up. You should know how to deal with hecklers. You realized that, like, what is Seth Rogen even doing right now?
Well, I mean, like, he came out with the Pickle movie.
I mean, that was like months ago, though. So that was like shot a while ago.
I think we were the only two people who watched that movie.
Yeah, and I thought it was very okay.
Yeah, critics trash it, though.
Yeah, turns out when you bend the knee, even a little bit to make your movie a little bit less funny, it still doesn't make the critics love you. So you bend the knee harder, and you just randomly have to pronounce on Twitter, "I don't like fascists, and I will not unite with them." For no reason.
Okay, Seth Rogen.
Okay. I still don't know if it's going to make the critics like you more. But turns out he's doing Darkwing Duck. He's executive producing Darkwing Duck. And there you have it, my degree of separation with Seth Rogen. And I kept thinking, like, man...
You knew a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh, yes.
For this thing.
Oh, yes. That I cannot say. But I think I thought it was very interesting that he is executive producing Darkwing Duck now.
And then seeing this behavior online.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wonder what his intentions are for this children's show.
Yeah. And, like, truly, all these Hollywood elite types, they really do see you like the Beagle Boys.
Yeah.
If you're aware of, DuckTales and the characters.
They're the bumbling bad guys.
With a southern accent.
Oh, I wonder why they have a southern accent.
Who steal things.
Oh my god.
And, all I'm gonna say is I don't, see that show doing very well. Partly because I never thought Seth Rogen was very funny. He was relatable.
Lovable.
Yeah, he was like the lovable dude.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
Lovable
wanna hang out with
stoner
him.
dude. Yeah. I never thought like, oh, haha, you made me laugh. Seth Rogen is not the only one who just felt some weird need to dunk on Unity for some reason. There was a PBS strategist, whatever, who just openly decided, I think it was a Project Veritas video, where like he was kind of exposed saying some really questionable things, like he wants to put conservative kids in camps.
Man, you think we're exaggerating when we say stuff like they hate you. They really, 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 really hate. What do they call it again?
The lowest common denominator.
Yes, that's what they call. That's what they call them. Well, I told the story about like what the cowboy people. What's wrong with the cowboy people? But they just really don't like. I don't know what it is. I've never met anybody. Like, I've lived here all of my life, and I've never seen people who had so much vitriol for middle America than Hollywood.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Everywhere else I know is not really like that. Nobody really thinks much about what they're doing over there.
Yeah, if anything, you just don't think about it. Like, it's such a strange thing. And then I think he said,
it's like it offends them that they have to cater to that audience.
Yeah. And he was saying something like, man, they're so dumb for living in those towns. I'm like, what? What does living anywhere have anything to do with like your intelligence? It was just so loony. And he got fired. But they also tried to distance themselves from him by saying like, oh, he was just a mid-level lawyer. He didn't actually control programming and strategy.
See, when you get in trouble, this is how they distance themselves from you.
They
say
hang
like,
you
oh,
out
you
to
never
dry.
mattered.
Yeah,
You never mattered.
you didn't matter. You weren't anything. We fired him. It's not like
he's no big deal.
Yeah,
That guy. Well, he's a loon bag. We don't know that guy.
Hollywood doesn't stick up for itself.
No.
So this got me thinking about how, with all these Hollywood people just kind of showing their true colors, just out in the open like this, how like it used to be when I was working, and how like it kind of, I saw it for the first time, and how I dealt with it after knowing like there are certain things that I can't say, and like I'm not that controversial, and like we are millennials that grew up in California. I never felt like I needed to censor myself, especially in Hollywood,
especially here.
Yeah. But
the
like,
most Hollywood heathens, we like to say.
Yes,
that's what we are.
But when I started working back in 2016, I really wasn't all that political, and I just kind of kept up with the news and really didn't think much of what was going on. Also, I think especially living in California, everyone like attitude towards the election at the time was kind of like, no way, Hillary's totally gonna win. So I was just kind of like not political. I didn't care either way. I really just was like, I draw cartoons. This is my first Hollywood job. I'm so excited to go into work and like make money and like do the thing and make animations, whatever. So the election happens, and I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. And so the next day I walk into work and I'm like, it's a normal average day. I'm just gonna walk to work and I'm gonna like sit down, have a great day, talk to my coworkers. Everything's normal. I walk in and everyone is devastated. It's quiet. Everyone is somber, and they're like not having a good time. And me being me, incapable of reading the room, I'm just like, I wonder what's wrong. I wonder why everyone's like so upset. And I remember this talking to a coworker, and I was kind of like, why is everyone so upset? And they were like, don't you understand? Trump won. And they were saying some of the crazier things that Trump honestly said at the time.
Never did, by the way.
Yeah, never did.
4 years later, he never did any of the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They said that he
would do.
They thought that he would do, yeah.
But I was kind of like, oh, well, that's awful. But, I believe in, the stuff I learned in school, the checks and balances, like I don't think the president has all that much power. Like if he were to really do some of those crazy things, there's the Supreme Court and like Congress and stuff like that, whatever. And he like yelled at me. he really like yelled at me, and I was like, what? What did I do? And it's the first time I ever truly experienced Trump derangement syndrome, because I really do kind of respect most of my coworkers, and I think they're all intelligent human beings. Because I say what you want about Hollywood, I think you do need certain skills and abilities to get hired and stuff. So I was kind of like, these people are intelligent. But I think given the situation and the person, they really couldn't think properly. And if you've ever hung out with cats, they have this redirection of their aggression. So if they're fighting, you don't want to touch them, because they're going to redirect their anger at you.
Yeah.
And they're going to like claw you and get mad at you. That's what it felt like. I was like, I don't care either way. I'm not political. I don't even know what's going on. I'm an idiot.
How was that first month? Was it just tense?
It was tense. And
I remember working when and I think he made his first address in December-ish. And I remember watching it and thinking like, holy shit, this is so surreal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all of it was like,
but it was
crazy.
like quiet.
Yeah.
Whoa, I can't believe it.
And I just felt for the first time like, I can't deal with this rationally. Like that I clearly was just yelled at for no reason. So I'm just not going to say anything about politics anymore. And I barely said anything at all. And not that I even cared too. So I learned that day. When people start talking about politics at work,
shut your goddamn mouth.
Yeah, you just
shut your goddamn mouth.
You just don't talk, and you just listen.
Honestly, it's more fun that way.
Yeah, it really is, because people in Hollywood really like listening to themselves speak, and for the most part, you just go, yeah, yeah, I agree, and you don't really have to say much. You can just go like, yeah, 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 and then you will get by fine, because you just don't want to like get into any conflict. You don't want to argue. You just want to have a good day.
You just want to go
at work,
and you want to leave.
Yeah,
unscathed sometimes.
And when it's injected into the art and the creativity, and like eventually you're kind of beaten down to a certain point where you're like, well, I am just a lowly artist who works for this big corporation, and yes, I care a lot about the artistry of everything and making good content because I'm prideful in my work and what I do. But at the end of the day, this is exhausting. So you just comply and you make your money and you leave, because it is, at the end of the day, a private company and they can do whatever they want, I guess.
Everyone is suddenly an official on that, it seems.
Yeah. Even though like they were like, corporations.
Like, corporations, and all of a sudden, corporations can do whatever they want because they have they're privately owned. I'm like, okay, pick one. You gotta pick one.
Like, I can't follow how this all works now that, we live under corporate and government censorship rules. I don't know how to be. I know how to be in Hollywood, and it's just yes. Yeah, whatever
so yes.
You say, yes.
Yes. YouTube, yes. Yes.
So after dealing with all of this while I was still working, and you still have to deal with it, where we're at now in terms of like censorship or whatever, clearly I couldn't take it anymore at Disney, so I left.
Yeah.
But this is all kind of like a long time coming for us, in terms of like how we feel about censorship. And the best way I can put it, I was thinking about the whole empathy versus morality argument of like, you grow up, and I think most people start really, really empathetic. At least that's how I was as a kid. I was like, oh, people are good, and like we need to
take care of the animals.
Yeah, care for each other.
The plants.
Be nice.
Right.
That's like one of the first things you learn as a child. Be nice. Right. And I was just default very, very just like, oh yeah, just be nice to other people and people be nice to you, and very optimistic about the world. So especially growing up as like a millennial in California, I think you're like default a Democrat. I don't think anyone would argue with me about that. Like, I think that's just, you don't know any better. You're just like, yeah.
I mean, you are rooting for the team, whichever team you grew up in.
Yeah. And it's because of empathy. People tell you like, oh, we need to help the environment.
Ecology. Yeah. Do your part. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Mm-hmm. Help people who are struggling. You need to like help them.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, that's why my default news person to go to at the time growing up was Philip DeFranco, because I didn't really care for network television. I didn't really care for like the news pundits. Oh, so boring, so
it's like
unrelatable.
Wrestling.
Yeah. I didn't
so fake.
Get it either.
Wrestling personalities yelling at each other in little screens.
Yeah. And as a kid, you're like, whoa. So like the first person I encountered was like someone like Philip DeFranco to like fill me in on the world, and
in a very every dude way.
Yeah.
Like if we were just chilling in a bar, you tell me what's going on. Yeah.
And then like, this is something that I really didn't like, but every once in a while he would like be really passionate, really like empathetic about certain issues, and I'd be like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, it sucks when people are like making other people, like putting other people down, or yeah, we need to save the environment, whatever. But then eventually I felt emotionally manipulated.
In what way?
Because
I'm sure he wasn't doing it on purpose.
Not necessarily by like Phil. Just by like all these things that you think are true. I think it's different for everyone, but you'll have like a moment where you realize like, wait, I have the sneaking suspicion that you're lying to me, or something's not quite right. The best way I can put it is in when some politicians are like accidentally racist. As a Asian person who grew up in Southern California, in a really diverse state, it feels really weird when like people conveniently pull out like minority stories to get you to feel, to get you to like emote and it feels like,
or when they go like, on behalf of this, and this community.
Yeah.
As if you speak for me
Yeah.
or any of those communities.
Like, for example, Biden recently, now that we live in this weird censorship world, in this weird land of like, your rules go no matter what, Biden said this weird thing recently where he's like, we are going to help the small businesses, and we're going to help the ones that are Black owned, Hispanic owned, and women owned. And I think Asians were excluded.
They were in there.
Were they?
Yeah.
What I realized when listening to that statement was, okay, but my problem is with the word woman. Because what about the trans and the non-binary? How does that work? And I'm not making fun right now. Like, I genuinely do not know how that works. Because that statement, you know, if you lived by previous society rules, would work. But now, how does that work? Non-binary, you can be male or female, so do you just pick? And then trans, what if you're a female trans? You were male, but now you're female. But what if you're male trans? You were a woman, and now you're a man. What? Do you also get the benefit? You know? Like, I don't make it make sense. I don't know. And another example of this is recently, I learned some things about Obama's presidency that I had no idea about when I was in high school. And
how'd you know these things? Were you on some sort of illegal message board?
Well, I was listening to Ben Shapiro's book titled Bullies.
I see. What's that book about?
Bullies.
Oh.
Bullies in Hollywood, journalism, education, and government. I don't agree with a lot of what he has to say, but I do like hearing him out. And he is right about a lot of facts. His favorite phrase, facts don't care about your feelings. So I was just shocked at some of the things I learned that Obama did, especially because at that time, to paint a picture for you, when Obama first got elected, I think I was like 15 or 16. And the only thing I knew about him was that he's charismatic. And he's our first Black president. That's literally all I knew. I remember everyone in school were just like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. This is like we're making history and
together.
Yeah,
change.
Yeah.
Si se puede.
Yeah. And for the next 8 years, us being artists and kind of dumb and kind of, we really just didn't care. Especially in college when we're just like too busy to really care. We were just trying to get our homework done.
You hear like just very pretty stuff like, oh, Obama is active on Twitter. Wow, so hip.
Yeah.
He's the first president who's adopted social media. This is so hip. He gets to say, oh, you know?
Yeah, and like since
smoking
I was
a cigarette.
So into YouTube, I was like, oh, he's like on YouTube. He's like making videos with YouTubers and influencers that I liked and stuff like that. And so like I that's literally all I knew about him. And it literally wasn't until like today and, you know, the past year or so, I've heard certain things about like the things he did during his presidency that I was like, where was I? Why didn't I know this? Was I that much of an idiot, or did I have my head stuck in the sand or whatever? And Ben goes into really good detail about how the mainstream media really hid a lot of the stuff that he did in his presidency. To the point where all I knew was like he was supported, like, I don't know, he was on YouTube. he was against bullying, and he was like just certain like really
Obamacare,
like PR,
yeah,
must be great, healthcare for everyone, and I to know that I was emotionally manipulated at that time from the age of 15 to like 8 years later, finding that out fairly recently, I felt emotionally manipulated. And when that happens, that feels worse than if I were tricked in any other kind of way. Like to use my empathy against me, and it makes you want to look for people who are more rational,
right,
and less appealing to your emotions.
Because as soon as someone appeals to your emotions, they're full of bullshit.
Yeah,
because it's happened to you once. You succumb to their appeal, and then you go, oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you realize, like, oh, you tricked me. Exactly.
Yeah. And it feels like, again, like I already don't like being tricked, but I really don't like my emotions being made to trick me. And I think that's why I think as you grow older, you tend to lean more conservative in your views. So I think that's why like I started listening to like Tim, and even though I don't necessarily agree a lot with Ben, I enjoy listening to him talk, especially because he has like really sick burns. The same way, if you noticed, I like to speak and joke, but I think you fall into the trap of like, oh, I want someone who might not necessarily be like super flowery, super kind in the way they speak, but you kind of like that they tell it the way it is, because you're like, well, at least you're not lying to me.
Yeah.
At least you're not tricking me by trying to manipulate my emotions. But then you realize like, oh, if you go too far that way, you also kind of fall into the trap of like the morality police, where like the reason why us artists really don't like the conservatives growing up is like we were policed by like the conservatives growing up. They're like, oh,
this isn't family friendly.
Yeah,
this is the demon.
Yeah,
this is the demon.
Like my earliest memories of people I didn't like were like Christians shaming me for like doing bad things.
How dare you?
Yeah, and
now in 2020, it's just
swung so hard the other way.
But still tons of shaming.
Yeah,
this time online.
It feels the same.
Same. And as an artist, it's just like, I don't give a fuck whose side you're on. The minute you tell me to do something like that, I don't appreciate it. I really don't appreciate it.
And then like what I didn't like about like the other side was just like they were just constantly like, oh, and it's about like the principle of the thing, and like it's about morals, but not really, because you have a lot of different politicians on both sides saying all sorts of empty platitudes and things. One is like moral, and one is really trying to manipulate you with your emotions, and they're all just trying to manipulate you. They're all just trying to like trick you. That's what it feels like at the end of the day. Like I feel like, why are both of you trying to manipulate me in some sort of way? Oh, you want my vote. Oh, you want power and money and whatever, but you're not actually going to do anything that you say you're going to do. For example, I think AOC is a really, really, really smart and talented person.
Very impressive.
She, it's amazing. I like watching her on different platforms, like CNN, for example, and then Twitter, and Instagram. And what's amazingly genius about her is she knows exactly how to work each one. She knows what kind of audience is on each one.
That's why when she does the Twitch thing, she like does the cooking, oh I'm so fun, and then plays Among Us.
Yeah.
You know, every single platform she knows how to like win the heart of every audience.
Yeah. She'll tweet, "Oh, Green New Deal." Like all this progressive stuff on her Twitter. And then I just watch her on CNN go like, "Oh, fracking is fine. It's fine. Vote for Biden." And I go like, "Wow, you're talented. I don't know how you do that. That's amazing."
What did she do? She said like, "Oh, Biden's totally not going to ban fracking," or something like that.
Because all the adults who were the adult Dems who were like, "I am scared to lose my job, my oil job."
These are my constituents.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what you want. You want me to tell this to them?
Yeah.
They're gonna fillet me.
Yeah. So like they're like, "Oh, I don't want Biden to get rid of fracking because he keeps talking about this Green New Deal thing," and AOC goes on CNN to be like, "Oh, don't worry, he's not gonna get rid of fracking. It's fine. Vote for Biden." And I'm like, "Wait, AOC, I thought but you said on Twitter that you have your Green New Deal thing and you're like promoting environmental awareness. It's like the worst thing ever. We should like be mad at all the billionaires who fly on their private jets because we're trying to conserve for the planet, global warming, you know, all this stuff."
Fuck Amazon!
But then she's also like, "We're not getting rid of fracking" on CNN. And I was like, wow. Okay. And then
I think a better example is her relationship with Pelosi.
Yeah.
It's like old Pelosi versus new Pelosi.
I know. I saw a photo recently of young Pelosi because
Footage of her.
Oh yes.
Politicking.
Yeah. And
in the 90s, I think.
Was it in the 90s?
Yeah, I think so.
Man, I don't think I was even born yet. And I saw that and I was like, wow. I looked at AOC and I was like, I know what you're going to become one day. This is amazing. I'm seeing into the future. Yeah, she'll be like, oh, like really antagonistic towards her because she wants, you know, change in her party, in the Congress, whatever. And then she goes and, you know, with her squad, votes for Pelosi, who
down the fucking line.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just, you know, even though everyone was mad at her for like withholding stimulus from everyone for political purposes.
Why? Because if a stimulus came out, it would make Donald Trump look so goddamn good. So good.
Before the election. And then, but like, so we're ragging a lot on like the Democrats here, but the other side is no better.
Oh, it's funnier. It's crazier on the other side. Because, like, they did the long con on the Trump supporters.
Oh, yeah.
They did the long con. Right when it was time to give the Trump supporters a boot, fucking Cocaine Mitch and Lindsey Graham are just like, oh, what did Lindsey say? He said something like, oh, the Trump train was a lot of fun. We sure had some great times, but now this is where I put my foot down. Just like, oh, this is where you put your foot down, Lindsey Graham. Suddenly, all of the sudden, and then Cocaine Mitch, sort of playing ball with Trump for a while.
Kind of. He became a meme.
Yeah, Cocaine Mitch, exactly. And all of a sudden, he wants to desperately impeach Trump now. Yeah. It's like these things that we all turn, these things that we turned into memes. It's crazy how one day they're a meme and they're getting so much power, and then they suddenly win their election, and then they just throw you into the trash completely.
All the sweet nothings that either side decide to whisper. For the longest time, I thought Lindsey Graham hated Trump. At least I remember that was the case at the beginning. of his presidency. And then like suddenly Lindsey Graham was like, oh my, I love you, Trump. And then to see him turn so fast. Same with like same with Cocaine Mitch. I was like, really having a great time, like making fun of Pelosi because of doing the dumbest thing, and then lo and behold, he does the exact same thing.
Exact thing.
The thing is, it's like I always kind of knew that about conservatives, because it's not like they hide it. They don't hide it as well as the Democrats. I think it's like more sneaky that like.
I think Ted Cruz really had to grow that beard.
Yeah.
Just to rebrand as like, I'm a badass Trump person now. I'm not, clean shaven Ted Cruz from Texas. I'm badass meme lord, edge lord. Ted Cruz now with a beard.
And so like I kind of like expect like weird savage politicking from the right, but then to really see it when
that was savage
at the end when they like just, and you're like, wow.
Oh, maybe we shouldn't say that. Trey, Julius Caesar, Trump, really hard.
Yeah.
Because I think Lindsey Graham's tweet was like just something else. Like to so blatantly say like, it was fun while it lasted. It was fun. What is he like, your girlfriend or something? It's like what do you mean it was fun while it lasted?
But time to say goodbye.
Yeah, it's like, is there no honor or integrity or principle? It's just like, your use is up. I'm gonna move on with my life.
Yeah. And I just thought like, both sides, you both suck.
Yeah.
And you both duped me, and you both like, I don't know. I don't know why you try to chase after my heart and my mind so hard, and then you realize like, oh, it's for their own selfish gain. Like I think it's for me as someone who can see so clearly through like someone like AOC's.
AOC is like anybody who works in Hollywood.
Yeah, like she's
exactly
the one like I saw through first.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
we have
like,
coworkers exactly like AOC.
Yeah, like you would do so well in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
AOC.
Yeah.
And I you see that and like, oh, I know a person like that, or I know people like that, and what is the reason why they do that? Selfish gains. Power, money.
Climb up the ladder.
Yeah. So
to be taken seriously, even.
Yeah. And I think that's how you get, like, people who are just politically homeless, who are just kind of like, I've been let down by everyone.
By everyone.
At this point, leave me alone. Just stop. Stop trying to manipulate me. Stop trying to use my emotions. Stop trying to get to my moral whatever, and just at this point, just leave me alone. I don't trust anyone. I don't trust any of you. I just leave me alone. And that's where I am. And it like, it's the same with like censorship. Just like, just leave me alone. Just
let me make my island.
Yeah, let me make my island and just leave me alone.
You and I have been duped at least 15 times in the past 3 months. So I'm sure if I asked you, how do you know if you're being duped? We'd have some sort of clue.
I think it's really hard to know when you're being duped when you're young. When all you believe is like hopeful things and optimistic things, and you've never really seen people be truly shitty to each other.
Really shitty, yeah.
Because I still am an optimist, and I still believe in the good in people, but I think I've finally, at this point, lived enough life to go like, most of the time though, people are not great to each other and not empathetic with each other, and it's better to like default to that than to default to whatever I default to, like, oh, people are good. They're gonna help you when you're down, that kind of thing. Yeah, see, you laugh. It's just such a ridiculous idea, but
silly girl.
Yeah,
Silly girl.
but I think to any young person, they're like, "What's wrong?" Oh, this reminds me. When I was little, I was always an optimist, and my dad is the most black-pilled person.
Doomer. Your dad's a doomer.
Know. Yeah, because when you grow up in communist China and you escape that, and you know that government can disappear you at any time, whether you are the Chinese Jeff Bezos or if you are Fan Bingbing and you are like the Angelina Jolie of China, it doesn't matter. They can disappear you at any time. And then you're going to come back like Fan Bingbing did. And then...
I love the state. The state loves me. There is harmony now.
I am sorry for hiding anything from the state. Please don't hurt me. When you grow up in that and you escape it to America or what you thought was America, you go like, I just want to keep my head down and not do anything.
Not rock the boat.
Yeah,
yes.
not do anything to jeopardize this thing. And I remember as I was slowly becoming cognizant of the world, slowly paying attention to the radio and the news and all that stuff, I don't know how we got into this conversation, but we were talking about like the idea of politicians and what they were for. And I think I said something like, oh, politicians are like, they represent us and we vote for them and they're supposed to like do good things for us. And my dad was like, you should never trust a politician ever in your life. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you think either one of these people care about you? They're all corrupt. And like, what is even the point? No, like, silly girl. Like, you're so dumb. My daughter is so dumb. And I was kind of like, that's a really negative way to look at life. Like, I remember saying that to my dad. I was like, that's not true.
Productive. That's not constructive.
Yeah, that's such a awful way to look at life, that like people are bad and they're corrupt and they can't possibly do anything good for you. And oh man, I was such a naive little child. And like, I think I have adopted some of that now that I'm older. And yeah, that's that is, I don't know how I got to this conversation.
You want to talk about the Supreme Court?
Oh my god. So over the past like 4 or more years, I've just slowly lost all faith in any of the ideals that I was taught in, I think, like 4th grade. You know, you first learn about the United States and the founding of this country and the way our government works and all this stuff, just like basic bare bones like things that you learn when you're like 8. And slowly but surely, because life, I just lost faith in the executive branch. I lost faith in Congress. And the one thing that I still kind of had faith in was the Supreme Court.
We had this intense conversation about the Supreme Court over breakfast, I think sometime right before Christmas, and you were so sure that they would do something specific.
Yeah, and they didn't. Because I was just like, oh, obviously
foolish girl.
Yeah.
Foolish girl. You think people do things?
I was like, why do they like have lifetime appointments then? What is the point? What, like, I thought you're supposed, like, the idea of, like, Lady Liberty and, like, the scales and all this stuff, it's like, oh, they're impartial, they're unbiased, they're appointed for life because they don't answer to anybody, they don't answer to nobody, and they worked hard to get to this, like, I had so many idealistic thoughts about
You were like that girl from that movie, Booksmart.
Yeah.
But you didn't. No. You didn't have like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg altar.
No. That's strange.
That's cringy as fuck.
That is.
Yikes.
Yeah. Also, I think this weird worshiping of politicians is very strange.
It's some Bioshock shit, man.
Yeah.
The way they treated Ruth Bader Ginsburg reminded me of Bioshock so hard. I was like, oh, you might as well fucking make a statue of her in a floating castle in the sky.
Like, it's so worshipping that it's, to me, a little bit disrespectful to the person, the actual person.
It trivializes the person. I think. It turns him into like a Mickey Mouse, like just an icon and not a human being who did things, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people who supported Ruth Bader Ginsburg who said some questionable things, and I was like, whoa, this person just passed. They're a person, not a political pawn in your game. Wow.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
And it's things like that I'm like, wow. I think people treat politics like a weird reality TV show or video game where like they can kind of like change things.
Yeah, it was like this season of The Bachelor that just went on and on and on. It had its tropes, like usually this happens, this side wins and the pendulum swings and this side wins and all of that honky-dory stuff, and then this guy comes along, kind of breaks the fourth wall, and I don't know, the TV show just kind of, I don't know, turns into something else.
Yeah, like the rules change a little bit and everyone's like,
Like, for example, Seth Rogen sliding into Dankula's DMs. It's like, back then you don't like post DMs like that because consequences, but like, this is 2020, motherfucker. Like, back then it was consequences. This time it's like, oh, this is how I become famous.
Yeah, this is fun.
Like, this is like this. I'm gonna get like hella engagement for this shit. You hear it a lot when big companies or little companies even heard it a lot during when Schoolism dropped Jake Parker.
Yeah.
Or
Lightbox.
Yeah. Or just about Jake Parker's company, period. But own a private company.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to Twitter.
Yeah.
Like oh, and people are like, yeah, Twitter, you can't do this. You're silencing people. This is the public square. This is where people talk and converse. There's fucking all sorts of people, good and bad, around the world, openly good or bad, around the world on Twitter. And then all of a sudden you start disappearing just a select group of people. This is wrong. But then people go, but own a private company. What define the argument? But own a private company.
It's like, oh, well, you know, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want in their private company. They're not the government telling you what to do. So, like, why do you care? If you care so much, you can go start your own company. You can start your own country. you can
build your own Twitter from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? And then they block all those Twitter wannabes.
They make it so it just stops existing.
Yeah. But then they're like, but make your own internet.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess.
I guess that's what it takes.
What I have to say to that is, you're right. You're right. There's, I just think that we have our corporate overlords and we have our government overlords. I dislike them both. Equally. I dislike them even more when they're working together.
When they're sleeping with each other. Don't like it.
No.
Don't like it.
So, like, when people are saying things like, oh, but Twitter is a private company, they can do whatever they want. Yes, true. You're right. Problem is, anyone who is perceptive enough will understand, like, these social media companies would never dare do what they did without talking to people in government and stuff like that, and like working together. Simple, as simple as that. And if you don't believe that they are, I would say that's a little naive, but it's pretty clear that they are, and that should scare everyone more than like, oh, it's just a private company doing whatever they want. I'd be like, no, it's our corporate overlords and our government overlords, both awful on their own, coming together and going, fuck you.
Yeah, Nintendo got wise so fast when they discovered that like all of this stuff is happening, and they were like, okay, from now on, let's not have presidential campaigns be a part of our games. Like, for example, the Biden campaign had a little event in the Animal Crossing world because trying to get them sweet young people.
And I also think it's kind of funny. Well, not
kind of funny, right? Because they hosted the fucking Biden.
Oh God.
Kind of funny.
It's kind of funny that there are a lot of Japanese Trump supporters. There was like a rally, I think, over in Japan.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're near China. I think every country near China right now is like, we
need America at full America right now. At full full mast, if you know what I mean, America.
Like Taiwan and Japan, and they're like, we
need our beacons of freedom here. What's going
on? When I realized that, I was like, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But yeah, the whole but my private company. I heard a lot of that when I made my Why I Quit My Job at Disney video. For some reason, a lot of people felt the need to remind me that, like, Disney's a private company and they can do whatever they want. And I was like, yeah, that's why I left. Like, I'm not complaining that they didn't allow me to draw angry eyebrows because I want to draw my angry eyebrows. my freedom of speech. No, I was like, yeah, DreamWorks is a private company. They're paying for this shit. Disney is a private company. They're paying for this shit. But I have a choice. I can either stay here and put up with it and take the money, or I can leave. So that video was about me saying, I chose to leave. Of course I know that they're a private company that can do it. Of course. Duh. It's so weird that some people have to remind other people of the obvious. I'm like, yes. I know you hate me because I sound like a little girl and I look like I have a millennial face. But like, why? Like, it's always an older person being like, you snowflake. I'm like, you don't understand.
Bitch, you're still in the cubicle.
Yeah. Like, you think I'm one way, but I'm completely not that way. I'm actually on your side, but everyone hates me because of the way I look and the way I speak. And the things I say, everyone hates me. Because I just don't fit that mold, I guess.
Oh, is this even a hill worth dying on, babe? Is this even worth it? Yeah, I mean, shouldn't we just I've been living with it. I remember the first few instances because my first legit official job was theme park design job. It was my theme park design job. I never worked a job in my entire life, so I needed to really figure it out fast. And I just realized, there is a way you need to behave here. There's a way you need to behave so that everyone is comfortable and everyone feels like they're secure. And you just, the optimum place where you don't hurt anybody's feelings or whatever it has to be. And I don't know, I just think sometimes I think like that guy in that one BR movie, this could be a good life. This movie, it's about this group of people who live in this apartment complex, and they have this weird cult, and no one ever leaves. And it's not like it's a bad life, they do some unusual, weird shit. But 80% of the time, you're living a normal life.
Yeah.
You know? And then one of the characters was just trying to tell the protagonist, like, hey, this is, you know, shutting up and following the rules and obeying. It's not so bad.
And I guess, but I feel like that's not really living. Like, that's such a great example. Like, you watch that movie and you watch someone who has been beaten down to that point, and the actor is just so great at like, he has his like a scar from instances where he was defiant, and that's what happened to him, and then he just has gotten so compliant and like accustomed to this life that he's like, yeah, it's not so bad. But you as a viewer, you're watching it and you're like, but look at you. What kind of life do you live? You're not really living. We only have one life. We only have so much time on this earth, and that's the way you choose to live it. For me, I am more concerned with like the ramifications of banning speech, I guess, and censorship, especially as a creative person. I think art and music and literature and all these things, the whole point of them is your opinion. You want to be able to like say what your opinion is and to convey that in your art. That's I think a lot of people who aren't artists might not understand like our weird compulsion to want to do that.
Yeah. Surprise. Art's not about the likes and the follows.
Yeah.
Surprise.
And I think any artist should be really alarmed by this, that like if you are okay with censorship, that takes away your entire purpose.
It limits what you can do. It limits what you can say. It limits your possibilities.
If you're not able to say certain things, then your art just becomes propaganda. Like, it just becomes like...
You go to school, and then you work at the studio, and then you make bullshit for people to consume, and then think a certain way, and then vote a certain way, and it's just like, you're a part of this big fucking machine.
And what is even the point? To say something that everyone already agrees with?
Right.
To say something to have other people go like, yes, we know that. Like artists are supposed to point out certain things and to like say certain things about life. And
sharp observations.
Yeah.
Right? Whether
Whether you agree with it or not. It like the purpose, like that's the purpose of art. That is the purpose of culture. That's the purpose of this. To kind of see artists being okay with censorship is like, are you even really an artist, or do you just do things to get likes and to get followers and to have people go like, yes, I agree.
Yes, I like you.
I like you, yeah.
But there's a lot of talk about when people talk, it's dangerous. Oh no, books are dangerous now. People are trying to ban books. This is something that when I was in high school, it was just unfathomable.
Yeah.
People getting all huffy puffy about a book. The most people got huffy puffy about a book in my lifetime when I was little was Harry Potter, and it was the evangelicals going, "That's Satan, witchcraft, invading our children," that kind of thing.
Oh God, how things have changed.
Yeah, I know. It's like completely the other way now. Crazy.
I think about this in like it's kind of counterintuitive. Like, people think the easiest, most like the first step thought, like they just see what's in front of them and they go like, yeah, speech can be dangerous. They can incite certain things or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know. I think the absence of speech is more dangerous, because like the people don't just go away. The speech doesn't just disappear. It's like prohibition. Whatever like issue you want to stand, just because you want to ban it doesn't mean it goes away. And I feel like what's more dangerous is what happens to the speech. It goes underground. It finds a way. And the best disinfectant is light. And like, what happened to democracy dies in darkness?
It's branding, babe. Doesn't mean anything, it's just branding.
Yeah, but the phrase is true. It's like, if everything's in darkness, it's like one of the funny things that I learned about recently is like the banning of Parler is really funny to me, because like the people who don't like it, they banned it. They're like, yeah, we won. But then the FBI was like, wait, we were investigating. We were trying to find people's parlays and track down and maybe arrest them or whatever. And I was like, see, that's exactly my point. Like, if you ban it, you can get rid of it completely. They don't just disappear. To be able to see it, to see the awful people say the awful things, is kind of good, because you will realize, like, oh, you're an awful human being. I know to avoid you.
We have a trail to you too.
Yeah, to make sure, like, you know, if you're dumb enough to openly admit to doing something dumb,
we can find
you. And so, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't believe that, like, oh, it's better to, like, limit speech because of fear of whatever. Because I think that's more dangerous. That's more often than not how bad things happen in history. You know, people have been trying to censor me, for example, for, like, ever since I existed on the internet and started running my mouth about whatever we feel like. And the thing is, I think I will be banned. I think we will be banned eventually.
Yeah. One day.
The only problem is, it might be a while from now, because we're artists and no one cares about artists. And I don't truly say anything all that controversial.
But soon the line
will just slowly move over,
right,
and eventually it'll happen. But let's say, like, I didn't exist. All my experiences and all the things that I'm trying to tell people who want to work in Hollywood, who want to be artists, whatever, they just wouldn't have known about it. Like, you guys, when we will be banned, I hope we imparted enough to you.
I hope so. I
hope that you'll be okay once we are gone.
I hope we did enough.
When we're, like, breaking rocks in the gulag.
Yes.
I hope you've learned. But yeah. For this week's recommendation, I wanted to recommend the trailer for Run, Hide, Fight. It is the Daily Wire's first movie, I believe. And it's a really good trailer. And I think we're going to watch it eventually. Yeah. We haven't yet. But we recently...
It's like a contemporary Die Hard.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yes. Make sure to like this video. If you like the video, check out honeynapson.com for our merch. I am wearing the Hustle shirt today. And head over to these videos to listen to our other episodes of the podcast. All right. Bye-bye.